Dressing for success, it has a magnetism, and I realized that when I started to travel in different places. And I thought it was just Columbus for a while until I went to DC and it was the same. I was in China and it was the same.
Greetings, Columbus. Welcome to another episode of Columbus GEMZ. This episode, I'm proud to feature Gary Jones from Jones Select. He's going to be telling us on how to dress sharp and dress to impress. So when you're dressed to impress, come down to the downtown library Saturdays at 1 p.m. any Saturday, every Saturday, and get a nice business photography. We're going to do this Evelyn Van Til style and make it accessible to all, so tip whatever you want. We'll see you there.
Gary Jones, native of Columbus, Ohio, owner of Jones Select Custom Clothing. So I've been here my whole life. My family's from here, went to East High School. Started my company around 10 years ago when my son was born. Really motivated me to kind of get in my own space. I worked with a couple of master tailors, one out of LA, a Peruvian, and the other guy actually out of DC. And so spent some time just kind of working, learning the tricks of the trades, fabric cut quality, all the good stuff. And did some trunk shows, tried to establish a client base to some degree. And then I kind of just grew into my own. I wanted to kind of go into my own direction after 5 or 6 years of working with someone else, learning what I could learn, and just kind of reached the point where I really kind of had my own taste. And then I wanted to kind of create my own legacy within my brand. And so that's when I started the brand. My son was very young, working a third shift job, actually. Worked at night, and then when I got off, I started to build what I felt like was my dream. I knew that my son would do what I did, not what I said. So first show was 2011 in Phoenix, Arizona, Phoenix Fashion Week. Got invited from one of my first early collection designs for a wedding. They were blew away by kind of what I put together, how I put it together. It really wasn't in the market at the time. And then once I did that, started to pick up a ton of steam because of the visibility that I gained from there. Started to kind of pick up some athlete clients, some executive clients, things of that nature. Started kind of getting gravitated towards my brand. So it's been very organic, nothing pre-planned. And I think a lot of the authenticity of a person that's really supposed to be in that space, it's going to always be about being who you are. Sometimes people, I think you copy first, but I think you just want to admire, try to work for people that you respect. Learn what you can learn from them. And some people, you start off as an echo until you become a voice. And so I think I watched a lot of great people that were really good at what they did. I admired what they did, their approach, and then I started to become my own voice and kind of start beating my own path in my own direction. Yeah, I think mentors now, or even people that you admire in general, I think the hardest part about I think the younger generation, what I would say is respect them because they're there for a reason, and learn what you can. I think sometimes people look at even business as competition when it's really not. When you're in business, you're really competing with yourself. You want to live your dream. You're trying to get out of you, what's in you. You're trying to, you want to see your name in a certain space, your brand in a certain space. That has nothing to do with anybody else. And so most people, they spend too much time comparing themselves, or, it's not a sport. It's life. And so if you can really win over people to believe in you and support you, you've already won. So I think it's really just about being close to people and understanding what the magic is that keeps them in that space, that they've been able to excel and grow. And so my advice is respect, have conversations, treat them to lunch, see if you can do something free for them. If they let you work with them, do that, because it'll prepare you a lot better than figuring it out on your own. If you can learn from somebody else what to do and what not to do, then that way you can start with a better foundation to grow from a more organic space, because being true to yourself is going to get you the furthest. Being a copy is only going to get you as far as that copy will get you. Yeah, so I think dressing for success is extremely important. A lot of my drive and even my influence before I got started was, an uncle who was an engineer. He was coming home from college. He was in ROTC paying for his way in school. Always came home, nice white shirt, clean jacket, dressed well, drove nice car. The other one was actually a pastor and an author. Dressed well, took care of his family. But they were the head of the household. They were providers. And so what I always seen, that whether in the business world, they're in the foundation world, nonprofit world, people always that did well for themselves, they typically took pride in how their presentation was. And so when you walk out, I think it has a lot to do. It will alter your self-esteem. It will alter the conversations that you have with people that interact with you. Because if you have self-pride and you take the time to pay attention to, my skin color, what looks best with that, my body type, what is the best way to put myself in a position where people are attracted to me to have a conversation. Because most of us, if we're front-facing, meaning we're having conversations with people, you're selling something, you're presenting something, we all have a personal brand. And I think a lot of it is figuring out what is that and how do I facilitate that through clothing. And so that's a real sincere conversation that you have to have, one with yourself, and two, probably with a professional that can help you, or do enough of, asking your wife or girlfriend, does this look good, until you can come into your own. But dressing for success, it has a magnetism. And I realized that when I started to travel in different places, and I thought it was just Columbus for a while until I went to DC and it was the same, and I was in China and it was the same, and I was, and I'm like, wow, so there's a universal language to having a conversation and people understanding when you engage me. It's best served if you do that with a manner of respect, because I respect myself. Now, does it mean that everybody would do that? No. But there's some consideration of like, who is this person that walked in a room that respects themselves so much? Dressing well. I think Tom Ford said that it's good manners.